well, this is just nonsense. You know, look how ludicrous it is. Is Lucifer going to come in the back of my van? Probably not.
Boo Foons, Mystery Investigators.
Welcome to the Boo Foons Mystery Investigators. I'm Dan.
And I'm Steve.
And today we've got a very exciting guest. We've got Chris from the Whitehouse Investigations. Hi, Chris.
Hello, how are you both?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good.
Good. Oh, I'm fine, yeah. Waiting for a good chat about ghosts and things.
Yes.
Really pleased to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, very, very much honoured to have you here. I've seen quite a few of your videos on YouTube. And, of course, how do people find you to look at your amazing things?
Just YouTube, yeah. Whitehouse, one word, Investigations. Otherwise, you'll get the White House and wonder what you're looking at. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you've got 16 years of experience?
16 years, yes, yeah. I mean, since I was a very young kid, it's all I was interested in. But it wasn't until, Most Haunted Years, 2010, that I finally went on an investigation myself. So, yeah. But that was my main focus. But as a kid, how do you reach paranormal books, paranormal shows? I'd see them on TV and that was it really. Few and far between, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've still got the old books of ghosts, and which I had from the library, which I probably didn't take back from the library actually. And I've got some, lots of ghosts and mystery books from when I was a kid. I was fascinated with it, and UFOs and monsters. But like I said, when we were kids, we were probably about the same kind of age, but everything was everything on TV. Everything was supernatural. We had so many things about Bermuda Triangle was everywhere.
Of course,
every mystery's ghosts and hauntings. Every kid's show was about a ghost here. Rent a Ghost, and there was witches, and everything was just supernatural. It was like there was a whole world out there for us to discover, and that seems to have disappeared.
But I found like the attitude towards ghostly stuff from the serious adult shows was always like looking down the nose, like these crazies think this happens, and could they be true? But it was always like, no, probably not. That was the vibe, Whereas I'm looking at pictures of spontaneous combustion going, well, what happened there then? You can't explain that,
There's just a pair of legs sitting there on a burnt chair, but the rest of the house is fine. And why has that disappeared? Why has spontaneous human combustion just doesn't exist anymore? What's happened to that?
Didn't they? I think they solved it. I did a video on this. It was to do with fat content and stuff.
Yeah. So people become wicks, don't they?
Yeah.
Was it fall asleep with a cigarette or something, or electric blanket?
Nowadays, aren't we?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
We're not stupid.
Too much health and safety means not enough mystery.
Yeah.
How did all of this start? So you said it goes back to childhood, looking at books, ghosts, and that. How did Whitehouse Investigations as a YouTube channel, how did that begin?
Yeah, well, after watching everything I could find and reading the books, eventually Most Haunted started. It's a big boon, and that really started all sorts of cable TV programs off that I watched, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. Watching what they interpreted as ghosts, and I'm thinking, yeah, but I just don't think it is. I'm not there. I need to be there. And so I'd see in Leeds and things that have investigations to go on. And I thought, really, there's nothing to stop me going and seeing what one is like. So it was one Halloween, it's 2 weeks before Halloween, that I decided, right, I'm going to look for ones, thinking I'd see Leeds, but I saw one less than a mile from my house in 2 weeks' time. I was like, that's serendipitous, So I thought, right, all I can do is excitedly go. I took my sister, and both being into it but skeptical, I said, let's go and try and disprove it, basically thinking that the people who are running the event are going to be putting on the entertainment, and we were going to try and not ruin anyone's fun, but have our opinion be that yeah, they were faking. It didn't go like that, and I became friends with this team and said I'm going to start my own team. Yeah, looked for members and well, rocked up with whatever equipment we could buy and homemade Ouija boards and kind of just experimented, really, just years of experimenting.
I sort of started this thing with Dan because even though I'm like an agnostic, I'm an atheist as far as religion goes, but an agnostic as far as the paranormal and supernatural goes, because they could all be linked together. Who knows? I don't know. I just think there could just be so much more we just are not aware of yet. And just, looking into all these cases, looking into everything, we've been looking at folklore and cryptids and obviously ufology and paranormal. And it's just, some things are just so ridiculous that, there's just stories, but other things you can't be sure. And I think the more you look into it, the less skeptical I'm getting. I think
yeah, it's like I would sort of say, oh, there's no Loch Ness monster. And yet if I'm saying that to a man who for 15 years has looked at the Loch Ness monster, I don't have any grounds to say that. Like when people say to me, there's no such thing as ghosts. Oh, you've never looked for them, but you've just, I think I'd know better than you.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got these, you put your opinions in a certain spot before you've even looked, don't you? There is or isn't aliens. There is or isn't cryptids. It's like, well, you've got to do more than that. Because you need to be on site saying, well, I haven't found anything, or you could go to the Loch Ness and camp out and see something and be like, oh, actually, maybe.
But unless you actually captured it, and there'll still be people who just won't believe you anyway.
Look, I think this is dead now. AI has meant that we're never gonna. I could show you any video, and the conversation's over. So we're too late. I don't think there's going to be another ghostly revolution until they literally show themselves or we die. There either are spirits or there aren't. And it's like, well, everyone's wrong. Or some people have actually seen things that give an inkling to something we don't understand yet. And it's really difficult for me to think that every single ghost story, including my own, is a misinterpretation.
Yeah.
It's like, you're skeptical. You're skeptical, aren't you? Fine, that's good. But even more skeptical people than you will still have a story. I don't believe in it, but
that's what we've heard so many times. We did a pub tour around the load of haunted pubs of Bodmin, and the amount of barmen and landlords would say, and customers, I don't believe in that stuff, but this happened here or that, and we can't explain it. And it's constant.
That's where it goes. I did listen to Steve, your ghost hunt the other day where you were let down by not much happening.
It was the people. I think, do you know what? Like I said on it as well, that you can't say that you can't call ghosts, so spirits, you can't call things that are going to happen. So you can't be disappointed by the fact nothing's happened, but you can be disappointed by the fact that, like I said, the guys basically told us all the names of the landlords and the ghost who was supposed to be there, then said, see if you can come up with anything. And it's come up with these names. And it's like, he's the only one who experienced, they touched me. Oh, they said my name, even though no one heard it because he had headphones on. And it's just, I know that you have to make money, but then it felt like it was a money-making operation. It was it's a business.
Probably a lot of their careers when they get down to it, isn't it? I've learned to start with, we'll probably get nothing, guys. Just accept that we're going to be here for 2 or 3 hours and nothing's going to happen. And everyone sort of goes, okay, yeah. And then you're happy with whatever you get, Yeah,
there's just... So I was disappointed by that evening, but I wasn't disappointed by the Schools Museum in Hitchin.
But unfortunately, that's the fun of it, going to the location. I don't like public events, be it my own. Well, I don't do my own, but if I go on other people's, I'm like, I know this is going to be painful for me to sit in the background. But you get to check out the cool place and, It's just fun because you never know. You might have that 2-second thing what changes your life.
Yeah, my mind is open to it. That's the thing. I am open to it. I want something to happen. Like I said, I lost my dad recently, and I was sitting there when everyone's talking about, people talking to them, and it's like, I just wish my dad would say hi.
Yes.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But he's
I'm the opposite.
He's probably still in Norfolk.
I don't want my family to be involved in it. I've always thought, I presume that my family will come forward, but then it's going to be a night of me trying to make sure it is my family, and I just don't want that. I just want anyone else,
Yeah, I also wouldn't want to think that he was watching over me, because that could be quite embarrassing at times.
Yes, but I think your dad also would not want to watch you in an embarrassing time.
No, he'd
be like, oh, you know what, I'm leaving.
Yeah, first sign of it, it'll be off.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened on that very first one that made you doubt?
Yes, because we're sat in a circle. We're in a mill, which various businesses. I remember one was a boxing ring, and then another area was a children's nursery. It'd been businesses in an old mill. So we sit all around in a circle in the dark, as you do, and might be an odd torch on, and the people leading this group is, figures have been seen in here, whatever they said. And I'm expecting other people to react, but my left or right leg, whichever, went really cold. And I had to, I'm into it. I'm into the whole, I was like, okay, look, I've got to say this, even though I'm a bit skeptical. One of my legs has gone really cold. And it was like, for a skeptical person to have to say, this is a bit weird. Although I'm like, yeah, but it's in your head. It's in your head, but it's not in my head. It's sat on my leg. And so they were saying, is there someone here trying to sit on your leg? Is there a child? And I'm like, no, I don't like you. In my head, I'm saying, I don't like you doing what you're doing. Oh, it's probably a little boy or girl or the medium might have said, a little boy who's sat on your knee right now. And I'm like, yeah, you're doing the thing that you're here to do. But I had a physical reaction. And then later on, you go to a different area, and my sister felt like she got pushed off the crate she was sat on. So I'm like, well, me and you were on a similar, we're not here to having evidence, really. We're here to be like, ooh, this is how they fake it. So we were like, great, because now we've got something to discuss between each other. It's becoming a good night. And then when we do the Ouija board system, we'll sit opposite each other, so we'll see each other's fingers, and we'll know we're not pushing it. And, and when the team had left me and my sister and 2 teenage girls to put our finger on a glass when they weren't involved, and it was moving, I'm like saying to my sister, well, I'm not moving that. And she said, well, I'm not. And we're looking at these 2 young girls like, they're not, because they were like scared. And so we were just both just like, well, that's cool, because now there's more to uncover. Gladly, there's more to it, So, yeah. I mean, the last thing that I remember from that night of a big note was in another area, and I felt a cold hit my front like a wind. I went freezing in my organs, and then I had a cold back. And then I said something, and then my sister had it. Something walked through me, walked through my sister, and then a cameraman hit the floor behind us.
Wow.
And I'm like, even if he was playing up to the evening, I'm going to fall over tonight, guys, later on, okay, for the people. He didn't know what I felt. It was like bang, bang. My sister might have gone, oh, and then this guy fell over. I'm turning around. What? I just had something walk through me, I think. And my sister's like, yeah, I felt that. And then, yeah, this cameraman fell over. But all I really know is the feeling that I had, and then the events afterwards. So, yeah, went away. I just didn't leave this team alone. I've got friends on Facebook, went round the houses. What's your best evidence? What equipment do you think I need? Where did you get that equipment? I was just all over it until I was like, okay, got the equipment. Now I need to look for people, not those, they're all doing that. I need to pick my group of people. So yeah, then just experimenting.
Has there, Is anybody else in your family feel this? Obviously, you said it's you and your sister, but how about parents, grandparents? Has anyone ever experienced or expressed
Not
any?
interested. Doesn't
No?
run in my family. You know, I got my sister into Most Haunted because she was young and malleable. She was like, "Yeah, this is cool," you know. And I was like, "Ghosts, look at this, ghosts are real." And then
What?
so no, never had it in my family.
See, this is the thing, right? My dad, never believed in this kind of thing. He was religious. He got even more religious till the end, but only at the end. He showed no interest. As a matter of fact, he objected quite often to supernatural, paranormal stuff, and I just thought it's just because he didn't get on with it. He's a man that grew up in the 1940s. He wasn't going to, he had rationing and ended up national service. Why should he worry about this kind of stuff? But then just before he died, he told me about a time he did Ouija board with people, and his brother spoke to him, and nobody knew about his brother. His brother died when he was young, and he was so scared by that experience. That's why not only did he not encourage it, he just didn't really want it anywhere in the house.
Yeah.
Didn't even, when I told him we're doing this podcast, he was worried. But only at that point did he tell me what had happened. So his whole life he hadn't said anything, but I just thought he wasn't interested. But it turns out he had an experience which so confused him and made him uneasy. He just couldn't deal with it. And
fascinating.
Yeah. And it's just, I just wonder if that's something that the older generation may do. They may have experienced something, have something, they're just not been able to accept it. You couldn't accept a lot of things really when you're the older generation. You have to play, it was a straight line. You had to survive. There's no time for all this other stuff. So I just wonder how many of our grandparents, our parents and grandparents, maybe did believe in it or did have experiences, and didn't have the free time.
Yeah, my gran and granddad did do coffee table levitation, put their hands on it, and she claims it went up. And I've never known a more sort of religious, honest living person in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she's the last person I would think to make something up.
So maybe there is something that follows, maybe there is something in the family that makes you more open naturally to these experiences than other people who might be just totally closed off. Because you were talking about the physical impact. You felt something go through you. Your sister felt somebody push her or something push her off things, and you do hear that. And this thing, you hear this all over the world. It's not just something that's just our culture. It's just something that goes along with these stories, these ghost stories, which are universal, and people have these experiences, and they can't all be making it up or imagining it.
Well, it's similar to times
there's got to
when
be something.
You and I have been together, Steve, and there was thinking about, you say about feelings and some people being receptive and not. When we did the pub crawl of around Bodmin Moor, there was one of the pubs that we went in where immediately as we walked through the door, I stopped and suddenly went, no, there's so. And this was before we had done that ghost hunt at Hitchin. This was before looking into all the things we looked in. I immediately went, that feels a bit weird. And then I stepped to either side, and it was that one specific spot in the doorway that was like something right in the center of my gut just doesn't feel right. It feels chilly. You walked through it and you were like, I don't know what we're talking about.
And you just kept stepping backwards, forwards. You were just getting said, yeah, it's just here. And this is before we started doing it. This is like our pre-podcast pub crawl. We hadn't done any research. We just knew pubs that had reputation. Yeah. We didn't know any details from them.
And then talking to the staff there, and then afterwards doing the actual research. So the research we did was haunted pubs, and we just went to the locations. And then it was after the day trip of going around, and we then went, right, so what was the story of the ghost here? What was the story of the ghost here? Was there anything that happened on the day that made us think that? And when we spoke to staff in that pub, and then also the couple that we casually bumped into in a pub around the corner, there is reportedly a ghost in that pub that walks from the bar to the doorway, and it's supposedly one of the old landlords.
Was that exact same spot Dan was saying he was feeling this feeling, which he couldn't explain? And only afterwards did they, when we were talking to them, apparently there's a clock on the wall that's set like 10 minutes fast. And if you reset it, things go wrong. So this clock is always 10 minutes fast because it's just bad luck if it's set correctly. But then they're so telling us about that, then told us about the landlord, how he walks from this spot, and also how pint glasses just get thrown. And one landlady had to leave because she'd had pint glasses thrown at her.
There's nothing better than your body to be the equipment. But again, there's also a lot of interpretation, unfortunately, going on to the result. Unfortunately, I'm mostly the person you get to stand somewhere and I go, what?
Yeah. You sound a lot like me. When I was listening to one of your podcasts, or one of your shows, you talk about how you don't get scared. And if you do get scared, then it's exciting.
Yes, I don't expect to get scared. I don't expect it at all. In fact, I'll walk around in the dark.
Yeah,
where people won't, and I'm like, well, just from doing it a number of times and nothing's happened, I now have to go, nothing will happen, therefore why be scared, And if I go there and I'm scared, fantastic. If I walk into something, great, that's what I want.
So what's the scariest place? You've just said if you go somewhere you're scared, you love it. What has been the scariest place you've been to, in your opinion?
If I had to say, you're saying place and not moment.
Okay, moment then.
Do you know what I mean? Because that is kind of different.
Okay, you've now led me into a new question then. What's the scariest moment you've had?
I think the most scared I've been was in Skipton, a building what's used to put your dog in if you're going on holiday, or it runs around in this open room. There's other dogs, there's all sorts of toys and things. But underneath that was a cellar. What staff didn't really go, it's storage and things. And we'd done investigation down there. And there was just two of us left. Putting the camera, stopped recording. Right, let's us go now. And as I was walking up the cellar steps to the first floor, ground floor, whatever, I just heard an almighty crash exactly where I was walking up to. And we'd had good evidence in this cellar. And I just thought, things are going to come throwing at my head. And just that moment, I all but, ran back to my teammate, effing and jeffing, like, there's someone up there, or, there's something. And sure enough, the staff who came in the other day were like, all those paints and things were on that wall, and now they're over there towards you, and I know I asked out hundreds of times. I asked for this, I asked for that. Generally speaking, you don't actually have objects being thrown across the room. So it was the unexpected nature of it. I was penned into the cellar, walking up to the light, and there's almighty crashing and banging. And I'm like, we're locked in. Who the hell? What's going? I felt threatened in that instant. So that was a scary moment. And to tie into our conversation about bad feelings, we were at a cemetery where I'd invited my team, and I just suddenly felt like early on, we have to go. We shouldn't be doing this now. It just felt totally wrong. But I couldn't say that. Hey guys, let's start on Saturday. Come here. Right, let's go home after 10 minutes. But I really fight or flight, and I was choosing flight. I was like, we don't feel safe. I don't feel safe now. And on that night, I turned around and I saw a wisp, or you might want to call it a chiffon scarf or something, like the letter Z, but it was angled up. So it was, not, rather than the top of the being horizontal, it was vertical, and it was like mist just gliding, as if one would glide through this room now. You'd be like, that's the only cloud, fog, there's nothing else in the sky, So it was unusual. Can I say it was a ghost? No. But I had this feeling. I saw something I've never saw before. It was that odd. It felt like it was part of our investigation. It felt like it was part of what we were doing. And, what the F is that? And the best thing I've sort of the best experience. Joint best experience I've had, because I saw it, not peripheral. I saw it and watched it gliding across. Now you do get mists, but this wasn't the time of day for mists. There was no mist. If I could just put that point, there's no mist other than this thing you would want to say smoke, mist, but it was far away as well, so I could see the panorama of this is just that one thing, white,
And
And
this is at night, is it?
it was light.
It was light.
Like now, if we were outside now, it's
Yeah.
still light.
Yeah.
So it was at night, but not at dark.
Yeah. So it really stood out.
Yeah, I saw it with my own eyes, and
So-
and went,
yeah.
look. Everyone's
But
talking.
it's like you say, you can't prove you can't say it's a ghost, but you can't
I can't
say
say
it's
it's a
not.
ghost. I'm just saying
You
that we were
can't-
on
you can't.
investigation. I was
It's
scared. I
something.
was scared for that moment. I know because my
Yeah.
eyes watered. That's my fear reaction. Very few times I've had it. But yeah, if I do get creeped, well, I don't want to get creeped out. But the moments that I do, my eyes water, and did from being a kid. I know that's my
Yeah.
fear response.
Yeah.
So yeah, those two moments are when the fleeting moments that I've been like, oh, that scared me.
How many investigations have you been on?
Well, 16 years, let's say one a month. That's the maths. That averages out.
So you've done far more than most people have done.
Well, some people do it every weekend, don't they? Businesses.
Yeah.
But I would argue that's not an investigation. That's herding people
Yeah, I would
like
say that as
sheep.
well. Yeah.
I do investigate.
So it's like that thing about if you look at the sky long enough, you will see things you cannot explain as far as lights and the shapes and things moving around. You can't say they are UFOs or alien spaceships, but there's things that aren't natural. And the only way you can experience it is by doing it more often. Actually not looking at your phone, but looking at the world around you. And that's what you're doing. You're actually looking around. And it gives you far more opportunities.
Yeah, to try to experience something. But I was going to say that we have so much happen on investigations that isn't paranormal. That I think, well, I could easily say I saw a shadow, but I do realise why I saw that shadow.
Yeah.
That's going off, because someone's got the phone on.
Yep.
I'm ready to shoot it down. I will shoot it down until I go, I can't shoot it down.
Yeah.
That's science. That's how you discover things, and that's how you prove things, and you've got to disprove it. You got to rule everything out, and a lot of people don't do that. They jump to conclusions. You can't do that. You have to rule things out, and once you can't rule anything out, what's left?
Yeah, I saw a great guy talking on a podcast the other day, and he was saying about like for example, a Gauss meter, a K2 meter, what flashes with the 5 lights or whatever. And he was saying, all right, that's flashing, but what does that mean? Does it mean it's a ghost? No, because these are used to show what's not a ghost. If this is flashing, you're picking up a radio wave, an electrical magnetism. He's like that. So not a ghost don't come into it. If that's flashing, you're picking up something normal. And I was like, that is a great way of looking at it. I know we sit there and, hey, flash this if you're a ghost. But that is the difference that happens if you are talking to something and it's flashing yes or twice for no, whatever, and you're having a communication. You're not going to be having communication with a radio wave. You wouldn't have thought. And that story is the same as thousands or similar, where when you hear it, you're like, well, fair enough. They think they saw that. Not everybody can be wrong. There's been, I've got books on Egyptian ghosts. This thing happens all the time. If you're looking for it, like people like us are, you find there's this endless stories. We can't all, because we're not all daft. We do live our lives going, oh, that thing fell over because that window's open. It's not like we can't understand natural, So yeah, this guy saw a shadow. It's not because somebody walked by and he didn't know what a shadow is. He's like, no, when I say I saw a shadow, it was unusual.
Yeah,
and that's just
very
one
unusual.
drip, isn't it? It's one drip in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like we've all got stories of the remarkable, of the miraculous. I've seen physics be denied, and it doesn't mean it's a ghost, because somebody who came over from talking about UFOs could say aliens, and I've got no way of saying it wasn't an alien, it was a ghost. I don't know. I'm just saying it was weird.
Chris, you said earlier about your very first experience. You set up your team and you asked them what equipment should you have, and you went out and bought the equipment. And then we've had a little bit of talk there about the meters. So for you personally, when you go on an investigation, what equipment do you take? And also when you take it, what are you looking for on those bits of equipment? What would make you go? So you've taken all the equipment with you that you've got. What would make you go 100% certainty, or as close to everything has happened, which has made you go, there's 100% a ghost here. There's definitely a spirit here because this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. Therefore, I've now collected that. So, yeah, essentially, what is the equipment you're taking and what are you looking for on it?
I do like a Gauss meter, and that's the grey box that crackles with sound that, you know, so you can hear it. It's got a needle readout on it. Now, I do try and go around, find fuse boxes, do that. I put it down because I'm going to record and do Ouija board and things without it. So let's find the quietest spot for it. I do favour a Gauss when you're doing protection. If you do protection or something and it starts to crackle and it's like it picks up on the energy, you know, it does seem like that. Like I say, could be anything else, but there's been many a time when it's as if we've created an energy and the meter picks up on it. We've had other times when certain spirits enter and it goes up to a reading that I only get when I put it in front of my microwave to demonstrate to people who don't understand what it's doing. Yeah. I mean, don't stand near your microwave when it's cooking, is all I can say, because it bends the needle on the Gauss machine. It's like, Jesus, if that's what it's doing, get over the other side of the room when it's ticking away, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know it can pull your Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do like a Gauss meter. Obviously, there's nothing better than your own body. That's the best meter. It's everything in one, isn't it? You know, see things, hear things, feel things. It's fantastic piece of equipment. But for things that you buy, yeah, I like to have meters spread out a bit, and I like to triangulate. I think if you've got meters in a triangle pointing outwards, if two of them go off, you kind of then identify, you know, where-ish something is, even if it is a natural, because you want to know where natural things are as well.
Yes.
You know, it's not, you're not just looking for ghosts. You're like, well, this could be confused as a ghost over here because it's going off over here. But yeah, I like when we're doing the Ouija board and we start talking about children or marriage, things that make the spirit emotionally strong for that moment, and the meters all flare. I'm like, yeah, that's something I've noticed. Like an emotional, like if you're angry, it's like it picks up on their anger. And you're like, something in that. Unless it's coincidence. But then you get to do it for many times and you're like, come on. This is just like there. This is just like there. Whenever you ask about children, or do you know you're dead? Flare. And you're like, yeah. You just feel like talking to someone.
That's got to be, I would say proof, but that's going to be more when you have all those different things triggering at the same time.
Yeah.
It becomes more of a picture, doesn't it? Rather than just one event. And that's when it gets harder to dismiss.
Yeah, but you know, it could be our minds. Maybe we are all telekinetic or something in some way. You know, maybe when we all focus on one thing, which is what we're doing, we're all here to catch a ghost. We're all here to look at a Ouija board. We're all here to do a seance. You know, it's like when you're all focused together, the power of belief, I've started to really believe is a power. You know, there's with it and without it. And the spirits on the Ouija board have said that there are energies like that. You know, symbols have power. When we were told to draw a crucifix, or, you know, because this very symbol itself holds power, because it's the power of belief. As people hold a crucifix, you think, what's that going to do? If you believe in it, apparently it does do something. You know,
it's like people get scared when they see a pentagram somewhere. You know, you could say it's irrational, but some people do feel a fear there.
Yeah. The spirit said that is true. If you know, my teammate had like pentagrams on her clothes, as we do when we go hunting, you know, we're all into these gothic clothes and that. Then it's like symbols have power. You know, don't treat it lightly. So,
But even if it does turn out to be the power of the mind and that's if we could just get, if we could determine, yes, a lot of this is because our minds are a lot stronger than we think they are.
Yeah.
That's equally as exciting as finding out that there's ghosts. If we can start controlling the world around us by our brains because we're so focused on something, but also that then means, well, like people suspect, that this is the energy your brain gives out. Well, it can't just go when we die. It's got to do something. It's got to happen to that energy because there's so much energy there in our brains, and as some people say, in our souls, as some people would say.
It's very much
believe
like
you can just turn it off.
We've got the Chinese belief that's all in things like woven into Kung Fu and everything of the Qi energy, which is that life form, that spirit. Basically, the Force in Star Wars is what Qi is in Chinese sort of folklore and stories. So it's almost like that. So what you were saying, Chris, there about all of you sitting around and is it the power of the mind? Somebody from China that's very much into that philosophy and way of thinking would very much go, well, that was all your Qi working together to create this atmosphere. Yeah, just
different words for like religion, isn't it? They all talk about gods. It's like, well, a god's a god. I get you, but you can have 1,000 different names for it. But we all talk about the same thing. But like, I could look at a picture of Dan, let's say, and he's smiling or he's looking scared. He doesn't have to say a thing. My brain can take so much from just the way that he looks. We're so powerful, for these little cues, tiny little cues. Are you all right? You all right? You don't seem yourself. What do you mean by that? You mean you're intuiting something on an unspoken level. Brains are so powerful, but unfortunately, they can also work against you. Pareidolia, just your religious fears when, oh, don't walk under that ladder. Why not? It's a ladder. Do you know what I mean?
It's a ladder.
I've never been superstitious, but there's all that comes from having something dropped on you from above. It's like, well, that makes
it's common sense, really, isn't it?
That's safety. It. Yeah. It depends how you perceive the world, I suppose.
I think, for me anyway, perceiving it, thinking that all these things can be possible, even though we can't prove it, it makes it a much more interesting world. It makes it, I think, a lot more fun to live in it. When if everyone just said no, none of this stuff exists. There's no cryptids. There's no aliens. There's no ghosts. There's no spirit. There's no afterlife. I think people would be very depressed. I think it adds so much to it for to the human species to think there's possibilities, because we've achieved as a species so much. It's just crazy, and that's because of imagination and these ideas our brain that we get and working together. And if everyone just gave up, we probably wouldn't have progressed out of caves.
I like when people say to me, "Why do you believe in the paranormal? Why are you so interested?" I'm like, because I'd rather live in a world where I think it exists than I don't think it exists. It's just more pleasurable to me. I choose to believe in it, because I think it's more fun. Yes, there's a monster in Loch Ness. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, you've done 16 years of investigations and you've experienced things. So
it took its time, though. I was always trying to break it down and say it was us. I was more interested in finding out why it wasn't ghosts. It's not the fact that things move. It's the fact that the information we get, we go to lengths to not share that information with each other, to then get it come forward in any way and have that person say, "Yep, you didn't know that, and it's true." It's amazing. I went straight to the Ouija board as a youngster, thinking I'm not a medium, so what's the next closest thing? Ouija board, apparently. That's what I'm told. If that's where the bad spirits are, any spirits who actually do amazing evidence come through, that's what I'm trying. Now, at first, I didn't put my finger on it. I'd set up the glass around the board and walk away and say, "If you want something to tell me, tell me." Getting a shiver on, thinking, "I'm not sure I want to do this."
Yeah.
And then eventually, with a team, putting my finger on and saying, "No, right, I'm ready. Let's do it."
Does the Ouija board ever work when you do it on your own?
Yes.
Or do you need...
And I hate that. We had once didn't have a team come, and I'd all said, well, if I'm the skeptical one, and I put my finger on and it moves. I was watching it and go, I was all bending over, going, how? I'm not. I wasn't pushing it, knowing I was pushing it. So I was pushing it, you know. But it's like the spirits say that they do work through us. So because I've done through nights of blindfold Ouija board, when everything's going fine, and the more people you blindfold, the worse it gets, until everyone's blindfolded. And then when I'm doing my little tricks, like changing the letters around in front of them or whatever, or coloured ink knives to wear at the printers, when the red's in front of everyone with no blindfold on, the glass goes to red. Blindfold everyone, mix up the ink knives, it got less and less correct. There was a night where it still got them right. And that's what I was after. Blindfolding everyone. And sometimes I'd tell my team I was changing the ink knives positions from where they'd just seen them, but I was basically just tapping them, and I kept them exactly where they were to trick them on a further level. And sometimes it'd do it right. And it just needs more. You can't flip a coin and have it come up heads once and say, well, it always lands on heads. It's a data point. You need to do it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
There'll be nights where it works, nights where it won't. But what is the ratio? What are the circumstances? It's just an ongoing test, for information.
I'm glad we've come back to Ouija boards, because that was one of the things that I was going to ask you about. A lot of content that you've got on your channel is lots of you with a Ouija board at most of your events. You've said a few times that you take a Ouija board. Now, obviously, when it was first there in the Victorian era, it was a parlour game, and then it's then become known as being linked to ghosts and things. Many people would discredit it, saying about, like you said, about it's people moving it themselves and pushing it, which is what they claim table tipping and all of that is as well. However, like you've said there, you have used this a lot in real investigations. You've had meters going off around you. You've had conversations with spirits or something else, something a bit different. What is your take on Ouija boards in general? Would you say yes, they are a thing that can be used for communication? Would you say it is more of a parlor trick like they were originally founded as? And have you ever had, hint, hint, email, anything that's ever happened that's made you go, wow, this is a great conversation on a Ouija board? So I know there's a lot to unpack there with that question, but
what's my view on Ouija boards? So as I say, Ouija boards are not inherently evil in and of themselves, but if you were a teenager and a Ouija board started to move and it scared the life out of you, that's its power. It's all that, the fear. But if I get there and I'm like, I don't care what you say to me, whether you say you're going to kill me, I'm going to be like, yeah, sure, okay. As long as I get it on video, fine. It's just become like, it seems like you put your finger on the Ouija, the glass, and it moves. If you take your finger off, it's not moving. So, okay, you're going to kill me. Well, I've got my finger on you. You're going to kill me. Okay, I take my finger off. Now tell me you're going to kill me. There's a limit to its power. It's like it only goes as far as you allow it, and you don't ask leading questions. Are you going to kill us tonight? Would be a stupid question. Of course, you as a group or a spirit's going to say yes because it's funny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I've had Lucifer come through so many times. And it's turned out to be teenagers, dead, but playing jokes. It's just, Zozo. It's just the dumb thing. And I just like, yeah, whatever. And it always turns out to be not that bad thing. It's just a joke. It's just because you would. I know I will. I will be going around ghost teams trying to scare them. if I get a
Yeah.
chance. Well, you know what I mean?
I do.
That doesn't
I
make
do
me
love
evil,
the idea that
you know.
I do like the idea that's, you've died and you're still just messing around with people. I think that's just a good way to spend the afterlife, is just wind people up.
Yeah, if I have the energy to do it,
Yeah.
and the option, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I did send you an email about a time we went to Stone Circle up north, and it's one of those times when everything comes together that you get. Like, it's not really important that it said it was Lucifer, but we had a spirit that claimed to be Lucifer, and I'm saying, well, okay, if you're Lucifer, you must have massive energy. Do something, and immediately all my meters flared up. And the conversation ended up going so fast that there was one girl writing down and asking questions, writing down what was being spelt. The rest of us, we were just like, my God, this is going too fast. And then when you actually read it, you're like, that does make sense. Or the girl, at least, is like, I'm following this. And if anyone's been on a Ouija board for long enough, you end up not knowing, what did we have? What was that? You might get a name in your head, and as soon as it's not spelling the name you thought it was, you kind of lose the train of thought. And then you realize it's spelling a sentence, you are so loved, and you will, and someone will go, you are so loved. Really? Is that what it said? My sort of hurdle, or the boundary now I'm at, is the times when we've had evidence that is beyond our knowledge. It doesn't matter if we are subconsciously pushing it, and the spirits say that they are pushing it through us. So it's like, that makes sense, because I've seen the glass never move without us touching it. As much as I'd like a Ouija board to do itself, I've never witnessed that. So putting a pack of cards on top of a glass and asking for the glass to move underneath and take the bottom card with it, I would have been like, yes, you are a spirit. You are moving the glass. Never seen that. I've seen us move the glass and the top card moves. I've been like, there it is. Undeniable proof, as people have said to poo-poo the idea, and fine. So I'm like, yes, we do move the glass without knowing as a group. That's okay. But when the spirits are telling you where something is in the room and you don't know it's there, it's like, come on, whether I'm moving it or not, I didn't know that was there. Who did? What's going on? So I kind of just, I'm more likely to believe what comes through the Ouija board than I am a medium or something. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, not that I 100% believe in the Ouija board, but I'm like, I'm here to just take your word for it. And if you can tell, like a spirit told, I don't think I was on the glass, but a spirit told my group that I'd taken magic mushrooms in chicken soup. And I was like, yep. No one knew that. That was so specific. It told us that our friend had a cancer check, and then we're like, yeah, I didn't tell you guys. Oh, there's a red book in this room, and it's a diary. Go find it amongst that fallen bookcase. Yeah, there it is. Do you know what I mean? So whether I moved it or not, that's an old question. We do move it. I do. Yeah. I don't believe glasses move on their own.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the transcript of the conversation, and I listened to the dramatization that was on the Yvette Fielding podcast.
Oh yes,
that they did that as well. The conversations that you've been having on the Ouija board, when you consider that multiple people have fingers on that glass, the chances of you all smoothly having that conversation is it's almost impossible to think that you would all unknowingly be able to spell out the exact conversation unless somebody was actually guiding everybody. But you would know that. One of you would have said, "This is stop pushing it."
When you've investigated for years, and the first few years, we're looking at people's fingers go white, and then let's put our nails on it because our nails slip on the top of a glass, and the glass moves.
Yep.
You're like, I'm sorry, but and then all right, spirit, put this wine glass on this wine glass. Can you move the bottom wine glass, or can you move the table and the table moves or something? It's like. Yeah, like you say, the information is just like far too rehearsed. And if you think I've got time to meet up every night of the week to do something where we don't even have public come to then just write it on a write up? I ain't got
Wouldn't be
time.
worth it, would it?
I ain't got time.
No.
Yeah, for you to go. Yeah, cool. What's the point?
Yeah, I mean, you would know it wasn't true, and say somebody would know it wasn't true, and it just
Yeah.
though it isn't worth the effort, really. I mean, especially when you can see you've got pictures and videos of you guys doing these things.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not rehearsed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
You'll
You'll always have people saying you've made it up.
Yeah,
whatever.
But why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
You're not making money out of it, are
Just
you?
for you to say I've made it up. Would I go to all
Yeah.
that effort, even if you're not going to like believe me and make me rich and famous? You know what I mean?
This is after
For
16
12
years. I'm sure you.
views. Yeah, I've got better
That's
things to
it.
do. Trust me. I've got better things
Yeah,
to do.
why would you do it? But I think what you're saying, I mean, you do, you know, like you're saying, it's the spirits are guiding you. That's what it feels like, rather than pushing the glass. They're guiding you through your subconscious, whatever it is. But yeah, you're having a conversation. Somebody claims they're Lucifer. All these different conversations you've had, and they're not all the same. They're all very different.
They're all different.
And it's just the chance of just one of you guiding it is kind of crazy. So yeah, I again can't be debunked. I don't. It's so easy to say it's all just nonsense, but you can't.
The times when we found a newspaper article afterwards, like somebody falling down a hole and they were drunk, and the name, and you know, and then it's in a newspaper article.
Yep.
And you're like, we were laughing when he said someone fell down a hole. We were like, okay, it's going to be like this, is it? We're just going to get loads of nonsense. And then you realise this guy did fall down a hole, and there's a big news article on it. And I don't know, I wasn't going to look for that article. I was just like, well, that was last night, a bit stupid. But then my teammate went, I happened to search for that, and there he was, the name, and it made you go cold. You were like, oh, I would just like, I dismissed it already. I'd moved on with my life. And that was just like, wow, how affirming is that? You know, incredible.
I met up last year. I actually met up a friend's sister who I haven't seen in 35, 40 years. And she remembered when we did, she's going to be 60 now. She's just a bit older, a bit older than me, but we did a Ouija board when we were kids. Just made it up in the living room. And I just thought it was a bit of fun. She was so terrified by it. It stuck with her. I barely remembered it, because for me, it was just saying, we're done. I don't think anyone was actually purposely making anything up on it. But whatever happened on that Ouija board, all these years later, when she met me, it was the first thing that came into her mind, how scared she was because of that experience. And she's kept it all those years.
Yeah.
You can't, it's, I think it's too easy. Like everything we've looked at on these podcasts, it's just too easy to say doesn't exist.
Yeah. Now, with a Ouija board, it's got all the letters on it. So obviously they're eager to spell out a message as well, quite a lot of the times. They want to do their best to tell you a story. But it's only got the notoriety that it has because it can spell out, I want to kill you, or anything at all. Like with a Gauss meter, you're not going to get messages like that. You've got to put the questions out and get a yes or no response or something, So that's why it's got the popularity. If you, I used to think that Blackberries were a Ouija board. You're just wearing a Ouija board. If you had a planchette small enough, it's just an opportunity for a ghost to spell something out. I don't believe a Ouija board, particularly my Ouija boards, which I buy from IKEA as a table and write on them with black ink. There's nothing evil about that, and yet it's the same as any other Ouija board that you might be afraid of. Just because it's made properly in a factory by a witch, it makes no difference. It's us as a group with that intention, and they say they can tell our intention. And when I go into a place and say we're just here to not take and knock you, to take piss, we're just here to talk to you. And can you tell our intentions? It's like, yes. And we knew you were coming. Yeah. We've known you were coming for weeks. And we've been looking forward to you coming. Just want to...
Our Ouija board all those years ago was just letters we'd written out the letters, cut them out, put them on the table.
Yes.
So it wasn't even... whatever happened was enough that Kim was terrified. For all these years later. But you're right, it's not the actual Ouija board itself. If you gave somebody another way of doing it, which I'm sure there are other ways... that we can communicate.
A pendulum with a letter circle around it, so there's a Z opposite each other and an A opposite each other. You know, if you did that, you're still contacting spirit. If we sit here now and say, is there anyone there? It's the same as a Ouija board. You're inviting a spirit in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. The spirit boards are just much better to see. Everyone can see. You get a story out of it. That's why I love them so much. But don't get me wrong. There's so many times I get nothing at all.
Yep.
I get gibberish, and they're few and far between. Okay, over 16 years, I've still got a bunch, but few and far between where we get a night like it's talking to somebody, and you can talk to them for an hour. And they tell you how the afterlife works or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then for some reason you don't have the questions then. As soon as things start delivering, you're like, Jesus, I can't think of a good question to ask. So you're asking all the same questions you always ask. And then you're kicking yourself. Why didn't I say, do you have sex in the afterlife? Why didn't, you know what I mean? There's a question
that's
like
the important stuff.
There's all sorts of weird things. You're like, why did I ask that?
Yeah.
You know.
So what is the most important thing or the most earth-shattering thing you've found out through a Ouija board, through a conversation?
Reincarnation. They all tell us the same answer. I can go to anywhere you like in England, and if I get a spirit who's willing to talk to me, and I say, you know, how many levels are there to life? They know what I'm on about. 8 levels. You reincarnate 7 times. So 8 levels being, I'm on my 6th level. This is the 6th time I've been here, apparently. And I'll go somewhere else and I'll say, what level am I on? 6. And I'll say, are there 9 levels? Is it right? There's 9 levels. No, there's 8. I'll try to catch you out there. They're all like, you know, reincarnation is a thing. And we're here to learn. We're at school now. Every life, you're supposed to learn something and evolve as a human being. Losing a loved one, that's a big thing, you know. Meeting the love of your life, whatever. Those life-changing moments also changes a color that you emit. Spirits will tell you, you know, like auras, let's say. That's the word for it. Can you see my light that I'm giving off? Usually, yes. And it stays the same until you've had, like I went through a divorce, my color changed, apparently, you know, that sort of thing. All spirits say that other spirits have a red energy. So whatever that means, dead people, if you like, or on that side of existence, they give off a red light. I've had a colourless light. I was the only person who had colourless. Everyone was like blue, purple, orange. I just see it like almost like karate belts, you know, that you acquire and you level up in some way. And it makes sense. We think this is the natural state of existence, and then you go to the afterlife. They're like, no, the afterlife, being an energy, is the normal state of being. You choose to coalesce into an existence short-lived on Earth where you're meant to struggle, and you choose to come back. So I've chosen whatever this is because I've done it 5 times before. You know, I'm not saying this is my belief. Well, I am saying it's my belief because that's what I've been told. But they all say it now. I find it fascinating.
The thing that's quite cool about that is one of my favorite, and don't get me wrong here with what I'm about to say, but it links. One of my favorite Disney Pixar films is Soul.
Soul, yeah.
And what you're describing there, and I'm not saying you've picked I'm not saying you've taken.
I text the team and said, "Have you heard this? This is what we say." Yeah.
But it's the way you're saying that. It's like, hang on a minute, you've been all over, spoken to many different spirits or beings, and this is what you're getting. So it now makes me wonder: is there somebody at Pixar that's also had these conversations that you've had and then turned it into a film?
There's many times I hear other people say, "Oh, there's like," when as soon as they get on the subject, I want my ears prick up. I'm like, "How many levels are they saying?" Some religions like, "Oh, you have thousands," and it's well, fine. But yeah, they're like, you come back and you gain experience. I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much saying what they've told me, and that's all I've got to go on. You know, or I'm here just to find my data. That's why I do it. I'm not saying mine's right, but it's my data. It's all I've got to go off. You know, I see these people put SB7 spirit boxes on. When I do it, all I can say is I get radio. You know, so I'm not. That's all I can say is spirit boxes don't work because I do it and I don't get anything off them. It's an opinion, but it's not an opinion I've just gained by thinking about it. I do it and I go, this don't work for me.
I love the idea though about the reincarnation. The only thing that I worry about there is we have no knowledge of our previous lives.
Well, we do sometimes.
Some people do. Does that mean that if we don't know or have any idea, does that mean that's our first go at it?
Our minds are meant to be wiped, but like any stain or trigger, you can't completely rub it out, I don't think. I was born, it wasn't until my almost 40 that I got out from under a cloud. I thought I was never going to be happy. It was impossible. I was always looking for contentment, and I thought I'm never going to be content. Why? I had no trauma. You know what I mean? Where did that stain come from? And then later on, I learned this, and I'm like, I think that stain was from a previous. Why am I mourning something I've never? I don't have to mourn. And now I just think it makes more sense to me that it's a mourn that's left over or built up. Love of my life went through something tragic or something. You know what I mean? It's sort of all checked out. Why do I have a fear of like deep oceans? Even when I look at it in a book, I feel like I was a pilot or something falling into this water. And I'm like, when it came up, I was like, yeah, maybe that's why. I'm not saying it is. But like you get these kids, don't you, walking in an African village saying this is where this is, and it is.
Yep.
And you're like, you say you were there before? Maybe you were. I mean, it's cool whether it's true or not. It's just that I've always loved that sort of thing. But now I've got a reason to go, okay, spirits are checking out here because I've seen that sort of thing in life, you know.
So the question, I guess the big question is, what happens after you've come to the end of your 8 levels? Where do you go? What do you do then? Where do you ascend to?
I know this because they said beings of pure light, you get the option after you've got that so many turns in, you can become a being of pure light, which is, I'm quoting the Ouija board here. We will like being of pure light, basically guardian angel, and you can come down and choose people to nudge here and there. Now, I don't know how many stories you've heard of guardian angels, but the tales I've heard are people just turn up in times of need, be it a car crash where something appears and helps them and then disappears from this death-defying car crash, what they survive. Or I've had my friend whose little child had cancer, and this person banged on the window at traffic lights and went, she's going to be okay, and then walked off, and she looked in the mirrors and she just disappeared. You know, so these experiences are like physical and fleeting, but make huge differences, and they're potentially these guardian angels. But you get to choose, just like you know, if you're a teacher at school, you choose to go and you can't do the exams for the kids. You're not there to, you know, to interfere that much. But in the time of need, just say, don't go down there. There's trouble down there. That road's closed, which is another, I'm quoting another guardian angel experience. This girl was like, if I had gone down there, that car crash that happened when I walked on the next street would have killed me. Yeah. But I was told, don't go down there. That road's closed. And it wasn't closed. You know what I mean? So it makes me think, well, the spirit said, this is what you get the option to do. Some people don't have to come back to another life. Maybe you want only one life. And, you know, I'm like, well, what is there to do over there? Well, jobs if you want them. Okay. And then I said, what about, why is the universe so big? It all seems like pointless. And they were sort of saying, this is where they got a bit cagey. They were saying, no, there are other people doing their 8 bits far, far away from here. Now, whether that means aliens, because if you think there are aliens, well, they've got to have a story about who created them, blah, 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 why are they here? And it's the same. It's all for, like, in this physical environment, it's all for learning. You know, that every spirit says, I said, when I say, what does it feel like to die? Bliss. Absolute bliss. You hear anyone with near-death experiences, they're like, I didn't want to come back because this is the pain. I felt pain, the weight of my body, you know, the emotional strains, not over there. So you come here because, I don't know, maybe you're bored. I don't know. Maybe you want to level up, but you're like, no. I mean, I couldn't not work I'd go a bit insane if I thought, oh, why do we work? I'd rather just do my own thing. Doing my own thing would probably be a lot of sitting on the couch doing very little with myself. Do you know what I mean? So really, it's good that I go to work.
Yeah.
Then I come home thinking, oh, I've got limited time to do something. Let's do YouTube channel. Let's do my hobbies, So maybe in the afterlife, the idea of eternity, you know what? I've been here 100 years now. I think I'm going to go back down there. And this time I'm going to be a girl. I want that different experience, right? You've got your girl badge. You've got your boy badge. You've got your, I don't know, disabled badge, whatever. These are all experiences that level you up.
And I suppose if you can come back as guardian angel, you can come back as something negative as well.
That is a fair question. Yeah.
So there'd be some people who just enjoy being bad, but maybe they found the power was there when they were alive and they want to carry on when they're gone.
I always find that the negative ones are victims of something.
Oh,
yeah.
So
it's really behind the negativity. There's some sort of sadness.
Cry for help.
Yeah. So I don't believe in like proper negative. I'm just like, all right, to these spirits, I'm like, you're being a prick saying you're going to kill us. But, realistically, we're here. Okay, you're gonna kill us. Right, fine. That's fine. Stop being stupid. Well, I've come here in respect. I've given up my time. If you will just talk to us normally or leave, because there's other spirits to talk to. And eventually, fine. My name's Paul. I died outside in a motorcycle accident. Cheers, Paul. Thanks for that. You know what I mean? That's a lot of times how it goes. I could have just run. There's something negative here. Don't go in there. Did a Ouija board. Never do a Ouija board again. Totally different storyline. But we're like, yeah, okay, sure. Scratches. All right, yeah. If you can scratches, if you think you've got the energy to scratches, brilliant. But I don't believe you have.
Yeah. I'd feel quite honoured. Yeah, I'd feel quite honoured if if something from the outside felt like they wanted to put that much energy into scratching me.
Yeah,
it'd be quite an honour to receive that.
Yeah, I don't ask that anymore. I used to say, because I used to think seeing something is subjective, Whereas what do I really want? I want something to slap me around the face now. I want to literally, you hear the crack and my head twist, and I have that red come up. That's what I want. That's the best evidence. And I used to say, look, do what you want to me. You know what I mean? Because it's good evidence. And then the spirit who we got friendly with was like, stop asking for that. You wouldn't walk into someone's house who called you over for dinner and say, punch me in the face. Punch me. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to treat them like normal people. It's like, it's disrespectful. I know you don't think that's being disrespectful. But you say you're here in respect. You say you're here in friendship. Then you say, scratch me. What are you on about?
I've spoken to people as well who have believed the spirits or a spirit has followed them home. And it's gone with them. Have you you've experienced that, or have anybody you've been worked with experienced that?
There's no reason why they wouldn't. There's nothing to stop them unless you're doing protection, where we can talk about protection and how it works and whether it works. But if you think if you can believe that it works, then you're safe, because you can be like, your house goes bump, things fall over, and as long as you can go, I did protection, so I don't believe it. Now, however, we've had spirits follow us all home, and we know exactly who it is. It's Sam from York. And we've all had experiences, and we'll say, I've got something to say, but I'm not going to tell you. Let's wait till Sam comes through, as he inevitably will do on some investigations. And I nearly walked into someone in the middle of night in my house, and I felt, you're half asleep. I had my eyes shut, working my way across the landing, and I stopped. Like, I thought I was going to walk into my son, and I thought my son's not here. And I went, Sam, if that's you, whatever I said, piss off. Now's not the time. So then again, weeks, months later, I go to the Ouija board. Sam comes through. Sam, did I see you anywhere the other day on the landing? Obviously, I take my fingers off. And what did I say? Told me to piss off. And I'm like, guys, that happened. I didn't, I wrote it down. I've got the date. I wrote it,
That's just so good.
And they're like, well, not often. It's not me though. My niece will say something has happened, and it'll be like poke, And she's like, where did you poke me, Sam? Neck. Yep, back of the neck. And you're like, he's been to our house. You know, spirits can go anywhere. They can go anywhere fast. They've been to our house off the Ouija board and come back with our house numbers, or what colour our couch is, or what even what the colour of the bedding in hospital is on that night, and who's on shift, because we had a nurse working for our team. And they've been like, she's not meant to be working tonight. And then when she goes into shift, oh yeah, we're working. Yeah, I know I wasn't supposed to be, but I was working. And you're like, Jesus, you know.
See, this is different. Yes, this is definitely, spirits are different than ghosts. That, typical haunting that stays in a location, no matter what it is. But this is something that, is sentient, can travel, can go wherever it wants to go, but tied to a place or tied to people, wandering.
I have met spirits that say, I can't leave here because my kids weren't christened. And so they've put this like chain on themselves. It's like, no, you can. You leave when you want. You're dead. You know what I mean? If you want to pass back over, but I can't because I'd leave my kids here. And when we're sort of looking for the kids, it's like the kids aren't even here. Your kids have gone over. Your kids died. You're here under your own preconception that you can't leave, and you can. So it's almost like they chain themselves. We went to a cinema once, and there was somebody with dwarfism and a regular size husband in the cellar, spirit. And we were like, what are you doing in the cellar? This is the cinema. It's nice upstairs. And they were like, they won't allow us up. They won't let us up. They think we're freaks. They don't like us. And so in that instance, it was like a bullying situation. They were literally not allowed upstairs. But I think it's all in their states of mind, When we've crossed spirits over, and huge pinch of salt when I say that. I hear myself saying it and think, what? But supposedly we've had 5 spirits in the room. Oh, do you want to leave because you're saying you're unhappy? Blah, blah, blah. 15 minutes, half an hour later. Right, they've gone. How many spirits in the room? 4. Spirit, are you still here? Spirit number 5? Nothing. I mean, we could move the glass. If it's us doing it, we could go, well, it's still moving. And we're like, that is not moving. So theoretically, you can move them over by convincing them that they can just go. It's like, I can't walk through a wall, you can. And they say it's light over there. And I'm like, is there a sun? No, there's no sun. But it's light. And they come back here to check on us. Of course you would. When I die, I'm going to come back and check on my son.
Yeah.
Oh, I suddenly got a smell of lavender. Probably my gran coming to see me.
Building on to what Steve was sort of asking there. So some people we've spoken to before, and also things that we've seen, are very much of the sort of belief that, ghosts are residual. Like, you've got the stone tape theory where there's sort of recordings happening over and over again. Like some of the hauntings that you see, like, for example, Anne Boleyn's dad is seen on the anniversary of her execution riding from across Norfolk. And he's only ever seen on that night on the carriage, reportedly. And it's almost like a recording of that traumatic event. There are others that do say that ghosts are intelligent beings and can move from one place to another. There's those that say about the teleportation that there's almost like they've vanished and can take something with them and then they return back at a later point. Whereas it seems as if from what you're saying, your belief is that they're all the same type of spirit, and it is that those ones that are recordings are trapped there on their own making and their own thought processes. So what would be your take on all of those things, all of those ghost things?
Well, I open a Ouija board and I talk to the spirits. Now, there might be 5 spirits there, but you only talk to 3. What does that mean? Other 2 don't want to talk to me. They're not over here now. When we do a Ouija board, because there's a certain ghost reported, you'll get people coming from, the longer you're there, the further they've come from.
Yeah.
So it's like, you might be going to talk to the person who's seen over there. Never talk to them. You've got ABC coming through. And you're like, well, where's this person who's supposed to be here? But on other times, if we go to a family private one and they're like, I think we've got a relative of ours bothering us, they come through immediately because they are there. They've got less far to walk, if you like, you know. But I expect people who are around the family to be instant. I expect to wait. Let's say I go next door and there's nothing there. I can get, if I wait long enough, I can get a spirit on the board, but there's nothing there, so I've got to wait for them to come. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like fishing, isn't it? It's just you're just fishing every time. Yeah. And sometimes they want to talk, and sometimes they don't. Believe me, I've been on nights very recently where they've been like, "No, not tonight." What do you mean? We'll go somewhere else. No, goodbye. And you're like, they're not wanting to talk tonight. Other nights, brilliant, really chatty. I don't know what that's about, but it seems like they have an existence, not just we are here in limbo. They have things to do. They have, you know what I mean? They have wants and desires and choices over there. But as for residual energy, stone tape theory, I have a problem with the stone tape theory. One, that it's based on a film, for a start. So
yeah,
why don't we base it on Harry Potter and say, yeah, it's just magic? Because there's a film about magic, so it must be magic. What, you can't base it on a film. Do you know what I mean? And then stone tape theory itself, you ask AI now to explain stone tape. It'd be like, well, it can't because it hasn't got the components to metallic tape. Yeah, you can store sound on, but it's not the same. Stone doesn't have that. If stone could conduct energy, it'd be really hot from all the heat that's around it. And if that stored, you know, limestone would be like red hot eventually. And it just hasn't got the components necessary. Yeah, there's a film about it, great. That doesn't prove it's a thing, right? But it's a good theory. I believe in something could be, look, batteries get drained supposedly, or, you know, we give them energy, needed energy. I'm on board with that. A stone, I think, it's the right idea. Something's giving them energy, but a stone, you look into it for 10 minutes, you'll be like, yeah, apparently not. I know Richard Felix is big on this. Silica in stone. And when you research silica, they do use silica in chips, in, you know, microchips and stuff, just to keep the energy in, like an insulation on wires. It's the very thing that doesn't hold electricity. So I'm like, look, just dig a little bit. And yeah, I'm fine. There's something that gives it, but you've already run aground. We know it's not that. So find something that it, never mind, look for something else that it could be when you found something that it isn't. And I don't believe stone does that because apparently it can't. End of story.
Was there a specific turning point to that, or was it just the ghosts and the spirits saying that on the Ouija board to you that was your turning point from don't care about an afterlife, now I do?
They educated me, yeah. I thought that was something I would never have a you know, I don't believe in God particularly. So I was like, I think the best thing for my motivation is live while you're here. Don't waste the opportunity. You know, which is a good piece of advice anyway.
Yeah.
But I had a status in myself of mourning. Why am I so down? Why am I never going to find happiness? Why do I have such a low opinion of myself? And then the spirit's like, because you're stained. That's not you now. That was you last time. And it just and seeing evidence of messages come through, and this young girl breaking down in tears because that's what her grandma called her, and she said whatever the name was, and then when you are loved, I love you, and you know, being like, this girl's had a seemingly life-changing, didn't help me out. It was nice to witness, but that wasn't a message to me. But then when we meet this Sam and he's saying like, you took magic mushrooms here, and I'm like, nobody knew that. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm after. I have a code word for my dead relatives, and if that comes through on the Ouija board, I'm like, no one knows that. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. Can I just ask? I want to ask you about something else. You were talking about protection, when protecting yourselves around this. What's your thought on possession?
We are possessed right now. Your spirit is in you, right? So we already know that a spirit can inhabit a body because, you know, it is doing. So why couldn't another spirit get in your body? Maybe it'd be cramped, and which is why people who are supposedly possessed, they're suddenly not themselves. They're not both at the same time. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, get out. You know what I mean? It's like, no, that my daughter's no longer there. There's some Egyptian fella there now. Oh, he's gone now, and she's back. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it makes sense to me. Yeah. This meaty container can have a spirit in it, and so sounds bizarre, but isn't that?
No, do you know what? With everything else you're talking about, it does make sense. It does make sense, especially when it's just energy transferring.
Yeah.
No, but like I said on that, the Ghost Hunter did recently, they claimed that one of their previous employees or partners became possessed and never went back again, and was never the same again.
Yeah,
because it had happened to them, and they, you know, he was very convincing that he was convinced convinced everybody that's what happened. But we've seen people become. We know how people can turn. People can be irrational. People can just become different people overnight, like you were saying.
Yeah. So yeah,
probably not changelings. Yeah.
I've asked for spirits to come into me, and gone a bit hazy, you know, like a bit out of it, and then be like, you know what? No, it's almost like invited it in and then stopped. Which you know, usually the team are like, well, why do you do things like that? Why do you have to push it? Why do you have to? Do you know what I mean? But it's like, well, I don't know. When sometimes I get annoyed with the spirit, if it's not the Ouija board's not giving us the evidence. I'm like, if you're that strong, just come into me now. You know, do something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's not always a good invite, is it?
I was going to say you're like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, but you're nothing like Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
But maybe in Ghost, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you ask for things and then you think, I shouldn't have asked for that.
Well, no, you got to push those boundaries. You want that evidence, and you're pushing hard to get it. There's nothing weird about that. That's just natural. That's how people make discoveries and move on and, you know, become educated by pushing themselves and doing things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
On your YouTube channel, what's the best video to show what you do? Have you had any really active Ouija board conversations on video? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I would watch any that are York at the moment.
York, yeah.
First visit to York and the second visit to York. First visit to York was life-changing. You know, like you ask, you get little bits, you ask. This was a whole different level. That spirit has continued to follow us around and become something of an ally. Never, don't come back from an enemy. I hate, you know, most hated enemy. Do not come back to my house. And wherever we opened a Ouija board up, he'd be there, like bullying us. Don't, you know, you're all whores, you're all da da da. It was just unlike anything else I'd ever experienced. And as I say, if I go hunting this weekend, there's a big chance he will come through. And it's like, hi Sam. The meters are going off every time. It's like, you know his appearance. You're cold, you know. It's like you physically feel him. Everyone's looking at each other like, no, this is. You know what I mean? It's become like palpable. And unfortunately, when I hear myself talking about Sam and the experiences, I do feel like I've drank the Kool-Aid. It's like I'm on the boots on the other foot. I'm like, oh God, I'm one of them. I know what I sound like.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I think you've opened my eyes a lot more than they were at the beginning of this conversation. I've ordered your book, by the way.
Thank you. That's a good way. I put a lot of our main write-ups and my personal experiences into that. I'm proud of the fact that it exists. Like, that cannot be lost if I go back. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what happened. Yeah.
And that's called Into the Darkness.
Yes.
And on Amazon?
Yeah, you can read the first chapter on Kindle for free, I think.
Yeah. I will get a link on the website for it so everybody can order it. Yeah. Because I'm looking forward to getting that.
And thank you so much for joining us today, Chris. Like Steve said, you've almost blew my mind with some of the things that you've said and the discussions we've had today. It genuinely has been an absolute pleasure to chat to you this evening. It's been
experience.
great.
Well, that's good. That's very rewarding to hear that you've not just brushed it aside, because I'm like, this happened. I can only tell you, you know, it might not be right. It might all be disprovable, but I'm just saying, from my perspective, that's how I've changed through these things.
Well, that's the thing. No one can prove it. No one can disprove it.
No.
So it's only the experience. But you have the information there, which makes sense, which is a really nice way of looking at life, even if it isn't. Even if it turns out not to be real, it's a real positive way to go through life.
You went into this trying to disprove ghosts and say they're not real. I think, yeah. So today, talking to you about everything has made me sort of go, okay, yeah, there's lots more here that I had never considered before. Like especially the conversation with Ouija boards. That's something that I hadn't thought about before, and the perspective that you've gotten, 16 years of all of that. Like you said, sometimes you get nothing, sometimes you do, sometimes you get some amazing conversations. It's made me really go, okay, I'm excited to give more a bit of a go and take it more seriously than this is a Victorian parlour trick sort of thing.
Yeah. No, thanks so much, Chris. We'll let you get going because it's getting late. But we really appreciate your time, and I'm going to be looking through all your videos, and I'll give you some comments on there as well, and we'll link through from the website. So do you want to just let any of the listeners know where they can find you again?
Well, it's YouTube, Whitehouse Investigations. If you want to get in touch with me, we do have a Facebook page. It's just there for people to, get in touch, really. So I'm totally open to DMs. Anyone want to tell me their stuff, or, anything like that, because I want your data points as well as my own, because all these data points, if you pull back long enough, you see a picture, so it all helps this dot to dot coming to life. So
it's needed, isn't it? Proper investigation. You link everyone together if we can.
So thanks for inviting me on as well. Thanks for letting me talk about it.
And
thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here. It has genuinely been a true pleasure.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
And like Steve, I'm looking forward to watching more of your stuff on YouTube myself, and going through your catalogue on there. York.
Go to
York. Yeah. And wish you all the luck in the future. And if you find anything happens, just let us know if you can. Okay. If you remember us. We'd love to hear you. Get you back on in the future.
If you're interested, I can keep you updated.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And if we haven't driven you away, of course,
No, absolutely not. No.
But no, thank you so much for agreeing to be here and joining us today.
No worries.
So we'll let Dan do the sign off because he always does that so well. And then we'll do a little promotion for the.
And this is where I mess it up completely.
He's a professional,
So Boo Foons Mystery Investigators, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media. Give us a like, a comment, a follow. Maybe on one of the posts you can let us know your thoughts of today's episode, all about Chris and his Ouija board. Go over to Chris's channel on YouTube, Whitehouse Investigations. Leave him a comment, give him a follow, a like, let him know that you've listened today. If you're feeling very generous, do look for our Patreon. Loads of bonus content there, including the video from today's, which is full, uncut and unedited. Might cut a couple of little bits, who knows. Like the bit when that there you go, that's the little teaser bit. It's So I'm a professional. And look at our website, boofoons.co.uk. Lots of information on there. And Steve will put the links to Chris's book if you wish to go to Amazon to buy that, and also his YouTube channel. So thank you for being here this week, and take care. And bye.
Bye.
mystery investigators.